Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and my colleagues on the team, the PTF team and respected House, the journalists here present. Let me join my colleagues in saying congratulations to the Labour NLC in particular, and then of course the entire workforce, as today marks the Workers' Day. I want to salute all workers in this country and in particular and the entire world in general for their sacrifice and labor of love. The questions for me, I think the first one came from Rachel. That's a Voice of Nigeria. News agency, I'm sorry, okay. Sorry for that mix-up. News agency of Nigeria, NAN, yeah. And it has to do with allegation, I would say, that in some hospitals, patients are being asked to bring PPE before treatment. If that happens at all, that is a strange demand. And without mincing words, I will say that's illegal, it's unacceptable, and of course condemnable. I do not expect any treatment center or hospital or any clinic to be making such demands from patients. But be that as it may, we will definitely seek additional information in this regard with a view to enabling us do appropriate investigation and of course take appropriate remedial actions in this regard. I think it's bad enough for a patient to come to the hospital and you compound the problem by making demands that are not within the ambit of what is expected. So we will look into that, and we hope that your good selves will also assist us in terms of giving us information, because we need information to work on. That is not to say that we will not put in place our own machinery as well, in order to know who exactly these culprits are. Having said that, we will also want to know whether this is taking place in tertiary hospitals or the federal government-owned institutions or the state. And if it's irrespective of where this is happening, whether at the state institutions or at the federal level, we will definitely want to seek intervention and to do what is appropriate in the circumstance. I think the next question is from, I think, Amaka Arise. I hope I got that right this time around. Essentially, you will want to know what the situation is in Kano, having said at this forum, I think a day or two ago, that we have a team in Kano. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to address. Yes, we did have an interim report in place after the team has been dispatched to Kano. And what that interim report contains essentially, and that has been made available to the PTF, essentially is to let us know the level of engagement, because that's the first thing to do. Engagement with the state government in terms of the governor himself, and of course the state team that is in charge of COVID-19 response in the state. That's the first level of engagement. Then engagement with the various segments of the Kano state. You're talking of the faith-based organizations, the civil society groups, community leaders, and every other group that is in Kano, because when we talk about the approach to managing COVID-19, we talk of all of society and all of government approach. So you need everybody to come on board. So this engagement took place already, and that gave opportunity to have information that will be required in order to unravel the totality of what is happening in Kano, even beyond COVID-19, where that is the case. So that's the first thing that has been done. And I can also tell you that in addition to this, as at this point in time, we have assembled appropriate resources. That is, human health resources. We have assembled those that will also help to build capacity in Kano. And of course, you recall that at the point in time, the lab in Kano was shut down. But this lab has been reopened now because the proper things that were to be done had been done in terms of biosafety, biosecurity, and of course in terms of having the right personnel to handle the lab. So it's functioning now. You recall that for a few days you were not having a report in terms of the lab in Kano. And part of the things done already is the verbal autopsy that one of your colleagues mentioned. And of course, there is need for strengthening the entire structures on ground, whether in terms of surveillance, in terms of contact tracing, in terms of the facilities, be it isolation centers, and of course, treatment centers in the entire place. Of course, PPEs have been deployed and ambulances as well to Kano as we speak, and other consumables are needed. So these are some of the things that have been put in place, and the PTF is going to set up a kind of independent secretariat in Kano, but I will work with the state government in order to unravel whatever that needs to be unraveled in terms of particularly the number of deaths that had gone up astronomically. And of course, we also have the necessary support in terms of personnel to make all this possible. So it's ongoing in terms of, we're not stopping, and of course I can also tell you that the PTF as a body will have visited Kano by yesterday, but for the demise of the father of the coordinator, the national coordinator of PTF. So that is the situation for now in Kano in terms of what the Dara report says. Of course, maybe just to add that you have immediate measures, as have been mentioned. You also have medium and long-term measures to be put in place. I think the final question is from Friday Channels. I hope I got that right as well. Friday, essentially, I think it's about the number of contacts being traced. I know the NCDC DG will give you that details. But let me just say that it's difficult even at this point in time to start ruling out figures in terms of contacts at this point in time. Because when you have a situation that you are dealing with community transmission, it's extremely difficult to have contacts tracing that is accurate. But be that as it may, I think the DG of NCDC will give you the full details if that is available. Thank you. About? Oh, okay. Yes. That is not true. Everyone that is in the system, there are three categories. The category of doctors, dentists, the category of pharmacists, medical laboratory scientists, and others in that group. And the third category, they are cleaners, ward maids, attendants, and of course, some others who are not necessarily health workers, but they are working in the environment that is potentially hazardous. So they have all been captured. So everybody is captured, and you will recall that I think sometimes last week or early this week, I did explain that it's been taken through the whole gamut of federal civil service structure. So these are things that are on ground already. But when you talk of the hazard allowance, it's not just the health workers alone, but people who are working in a potentially hazardous environment have been captured. I did mention all that. So they are captured. And this is within that civil service structure. And I did say then that the Minister of Labor and Employment was part of the whole deal, and all the workers through their various representatives, be it pharmacists, be it doctors, be it medical lab scientists, and all the unions, 37 unions represented by Johesu, they were all captured. So no one is really left out. And not just in terms of incentives given to them, but in terms of insurance. And the volunteers who are not captured within the framework of federal civil service, they are captured by donated insurance packages from those who have been helping us as donors. Thank you.